Hello again. Okay, so in the last video we had discussed the structure of this pyramid and this idea that perhaps this is how the world is governed, like this. Now, we mentioned the families at the top. And when I say we, I mean, it's just me, okay? It's just one dude talking. But I'm saying we because I'm associating myself with these other people, dozens of which who have done the research before me. So, I'm saying we in the sense that we truth seekers. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. But what I discussed last time was how these families at the top have so much to lose that they are, by their very nature, going to protect each other, but also take any opportunity to betray or to sacrifice each other so as to gain just a few steps up on the pyramid. They will work their way up. Now, it's interesting that we see the box here where it describes the Illuminati, which is the term that people use. We might say that the Illuminati is who opposes the Catholic Church. Okay, we can say that they oppose the Pope or whatever. I mean, who knows where the real battle lines are? They're not telling us, so I don't really care. I mean, it doesn't matter to me as a regular person. But this description makes sense because B'nai B'rith is basically modern economic and political Judaism, and it's a modern creation. Okay, and they have the State of Israel symbology, as I've included here, which is the hexagon of House Rothschild. Okay, so B'nai B'rith is a direct creation of the all-seeing eye Rothschild family. Grand Orient Masonry is the other type of Masonry. We can say that B'nai B'rith Masonry, according to this theory, would be of two flavors, French or Scottish. So Scots Rite or France. And then opposing those two would be, or in tandem on the other side of the globe, would be Grand Orient Freemasonry, which is all of the, Oriental, Templar, OTO, and I'm guessing that means all those guys. So, and generally this traces back to Indian rituals that are tantric. A lot of the stuff these people do is just to rebel against the Pope. So, if you have puritanical people, and then you have these guys, you're going to like these guys, because they're going to do everything bad that they can. They're going to kill, they're going to murder, but they're also going to, have sex, and have parties, and get drunk, and find the drugs, and, whatever. So, if you have Puritans that are ruling you, you'd be glad for these guys when they smash down the walls, but afterwards they're going to become perhaps even worse masters than the ones before. So it's kind of like there's no way to. I mean, I guess if we all get together, we could somehow get a better world. But I'm just kind of interested in sharing my research with you. But it's interesting that below the Illuminati, we see the very next step is communism. So, well, that's interesting. That communism exists outside the Illuminati, which we could basically then understand from this that communism is the face of all of this above it. And that's true. If you look at the facts, you'll find that communism was created by these people, and it was basically designed to destroy the Tsar, and it worked. And the Bolsheviks then took it and ran with it. And they've been funded by Western powers, meaning Rockefellers. The efforts of communism, are funded by these people. Okay, that's true. So, then, here's what I'm talking about with the different houses. It's interesting that people will say today when they look at the lodges and so forth, they'll say, oh, well, there's Scots and then there's Grand Orient. Well, no. We can see here that this structure of this pyramid clearly shows that communism exists in a tier on its own below the Illuminati. And then below communism are the York and Scots rites. York, of course, being a famous site in the London area. It was actually a sacred forest. And they chopped it down and used the trees to build a church, and then blah, blah, blah. It's just now we have New York. So we're way beyond that first moments. There's probably probably even older than we imagine. And then the Scots people of the Northern Highlands there, this is a classic battle. This is basically the Jacobean front, because the Jacobins are from northern Britain or whatever. They're the North Country there, the Scottish Highlands. And they're actually from Ireland, is who settled Scotland. So the southern part, the York parties, is more French, because the French basically brought Louis across and they took over. Anyway, you can tell from my description of these events that I'm just basically a novice, and I don't really have too much, I'm not going to stand that I know this point or the other. I'm saying generally, this is what I've understood. So use comments and send me messages if you feel that I'm not saying something truthfully here. But then below those two lodges, outside those, we have everything else. White Masonry, which means Rotary, Elks, YMCA. So it's Masonry that's not seen as Masonry. They use the color white, which is all colors. Mixed together, you get white. In a chromatic context, all colors, all positive colors form white. Rotary, Elks, YMCA, they all sing songs, they all unite, and it's all just to perpetuate the belief that they're different or separate. All of these tiers must always agree that they are, anywhere there's a line in here, they must agree that they're nothing like the other party. That is the key of this graphic. So when you find one of these people and they say, oh, we're nothing like that, show them this graphic, or show them this YouTube, and see what they say. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just step to the next visual aid, if I can find it here. Where is it at? Okay, here it is. All right. So, who are the Council of 13? The Council of 13 is made up of the global elite families from high around the world. Blah, blah, blah. Group was formed in reaction to the Age of Enlightenment and in the mid-1770s as a secret club of men who met to discuss rationalism, esoterica, philosophy, and other popular subjects of the day. After the Illuminati was officially banned in its home country, the members simply... Here, I'm just going to write this here. 1770. Okay, that's when they say that the Council of 13 was formed. Interesting. This verbiage, I'm not sure who this comes from either. This is another cut and paste into Notepad because I liked it, and I printed it, and I just stuffed it in my files. After the Illuminati was officially banned in its home country, the members simply left and went elsewhere to start other chapters of the society. There were soon sects of the Illuminati all over Europe. So, Diaspora. Today, these families are considered the top of the hierarchy of global elite families. Whenever you hear the phrase global elite be mentioned, chances are good that the person referencing Council of 13, the rules of the Illuminati, literally is rather represented there. Even though there are other families that are considered to be members of the global elite and they have U.S. financial political influence, the Council of 13 represents the most powerful families on Earth. Information gathered from ex-members of the Illuminati says that members of the Council hold meetings at regular intervals during the year, usually on days that are considered to be pagan or occult holidays. It's also been speculated that the council meetings are steeped in Druidic symbolism and ritual, and that the standing members of the council, in addition to their roles as the global leaders of the Illuminati, are also the spiritual heads of the Illuminati. Etc., 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 and on, so on and on and on forever. Anyway, the families who have members serving on the Illuminati Council are either members of or are related to the Astor, Collins, DuPont, Freeman, Kennedy, Lee, Onassis, Reynolds, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Russell, and Van Dyne families. 12. Some of these names are probably familiar to you as titans of finance and politics. The ones that aren't so familiar are renowned mostly for their occult experience and religious power. Ties through marriage and blood. These families all have ties to each other through marriage and also through blood, so that the fortune of each family are inextricably linked, both to each other and to the successes of the Illuminati plan to create a new world order. The Council on World Affairs. The timing of the meeting of the Council often coincides with the most important elections around the world and the meetings of the groups like Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission, which are groups formed by and made up of members of the global elite. While on the surface the Council meetings may seem to be just a chance for some old friends to get together and live some old times, the meetings are actually very serious affairs where there are religious obligations that need to be met and goats that need to be killed. Oh, that's not in there. But, and events that need to be created in order to take their plan Your New World Order government to the next level. As the plan progresses, events are happening faster and in a more concentrated manner, so that the council needs to work hard to manage the creation and execution of these events. Can you imagine how hard they're working? Wow. Let's just have a hand for them. Okay. Council of 13 meets at elections and functions of Council on Foreign Relations and Trilateral Commission, one member of each family. So let's just take a look at those families that were mentioned. Okay, so Rothschild, of course, is at the center. Rockefeller was created by Rothschild. They were given the money for Standard Oil by Rothschild. Freeman, very interesting. I don't know much about them. Let's research them. Okay. Do a video response to this, any of these topics that I raise in my YouTubes here. And carry forward. Soldiers of Truth. Reynolds, of course. I think this is the same family that so successfully marketed the sacred Native American leaf called tobacco. Russell are very famous. They created Skull and Bones. So, and these are all, what I'm talking about is a lot of these families rose to power during the Industrial Revolution. Rothschild loaned money to these families, and so they all became powerful. And hey, good for them. So then we have Onassis, and we know that this family's big claim to fame was to marry Jacqueline. The Lee family, I'm just guessing, may be connected to something. Kennedy, we've heard of them, of course. And, you know, nobody's spotless. Nobody's spotless here. If you research the history of this family, you'll find quite a bit of dirt. So everybody's got their dirt they want to keep covered, but they don't mind if you uncover someone else's dirt, you know? Which, whatever, human behavior is what it is, so go for it. Van Dyne, I don't know much about them. Astor, I know that he was the rich guy that was killed in the Titanic incident. Titanic, very interesting, okay, because I want to just speak about Astor. I think I'm right that he was the guy, that super rich dude that was killed in the Titanic sinking. Very interesting, this idea of twins and the death of one twin while the other lives, okay? This is an occult practice. And, you know, I'm against murder, and I'm against murder of children, even more so. So I'm very much against anything that has to do with murdering children. But I'm guessing that occult practitioners, not necessarily any of these people, just saying, are not so much against that. From what I've heard, just on the surface, you know, they may sacrifice children and gain power because they're all willing to stand there and watch such a thing, and then you gain power, and everyone sort of participates, kind of like that short story, The Lottery, where they all stone one person so that the town can have a good crop. I think that carries with these families. I'm not sure. I have no idea. God help me if I ever accuse any of these powerful people of doing anything wrong, so I can't do that. I can only hold them accountable for what we can see, which is the propagation of war. But this family right here, although this guy was a hero, their scion JFK, and he was killed, they were very big on disarming the U.S. Okay, so you have a lot of aspects to this in the sense that this family wanted to move up to this center position, and they were killed. In my opinion, this family's almost been exterminated because of their efforts, or there's some drama here that caused them to be targeted. But the idea that the twin ship Titanic sank while the other one, her sister ship, lived is very interesting. And also the history of the Titanic conspiratorially is interesting. So I would respect, you know, Jim Cameron if he would do like a sequel to Titanic that's sort of like the JFK movie. You know, let him cover the conspiracy aspect. But I'm guaranteeing you that Jim Cameron, director of Titanic, will not do a conspiracy-related Titanic sequel. It's not in his interest to promote anything that has to do with conspiracy. Collins, which is why I respect Oliver Stone as a filmmaker more, because he's willing, as a soldier who fought in Vietnam, to discuss conspiracy. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Collins, a very powerful occult family. DuPont, of course, and so on. So we're at the end of the second video here. I'm just going to wrap this up. We'll go into the next video soon enough, and we'll discuss this central family a little more, but we'll, you know, try to keep a balanced view.